Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Now let's get you updates from West Asia. A nationwide internet blackout was reported in Iran on Thursday as protests over economic hardships continued around the country. The movement that originated with a shutdown on Tehran Bazaar on 28th of December last year after the real currency plunged to record lows. Unrest has since spread nationwide amid deepening distress over economic privations arising from rocketing inflation driven by mismanagement and Western sanctions and curbs on political and social freedoms. The movement has also spread to higher education with final exams. Tehran's major Amir Kabir University postponed for a week. Local media and official statements have reported at least 21 people, including security forces, have died since the unrest began in late December. US President Donald Trump, meanwhile, warned on Thursday to take severe action against Iran if its authorities start killing people, warning Washington would hit them very hard. Now, after the Iranian protests, the latest warning have come from Donald Trump, saying that strict actions will be taken if the protesters are harmed. After Venezuela, this comes as a very important statement for Iran as well, considering the West Asia situation right now. Now, if you talk about the movement originated with the shutdown on the Tehran Bazaar on the 28th of December in 2025. And now the protests are still continuing. And to give you more on this, I'm joined by DD India correspondent Akshay Dongre. Good morning, Akshay. Tell us the latest you're tracking on the protests so far.
Well, as far as the protest is concerned, the number of death toll, which becomes quite essential at this point in time, has already crossed, over 40. As far as the number of violent incidents are concerned, they are also widespread, not just happening in Tehran, but in other areas as well. The government has tried to communicate to the protesters, has tried to pacify them, has tried to stop the protest by force. But it seems that all the attempts that are being made to pacify them are failing as of now. The government instability also looks quite deep in Tehran and in other areas where protesters are continuously asking for not only major reforms but also a major change in the government structure at the top level as well. It becomes as a major threat to the regime in Iran at this point in time, especially given the fact that the country has been not only hit by sanctions but has already been involved in many aspects in a conflict with one of the most dominant player in the region, that is Israel. Tensions are at an all-time high. Already US President Donald Trump has given a threat that any kind of killing of protesters or any kind of action against protesters that is lethal in nature will attract a lot of retaliation, not only from the protesters but from his government as well. So in a way, it's not just a domestic issue now anymore. It's become a geopolitical one, with especially one of the biggest rival of Iran, that is the United States of America and Israel in the neighborhood, actively, not only passively but actively backing the protesters that are many of them who are calling for the overthrowing of the government as it is there in the country.
As you pointed out, Akshay, Donald Trump has further said that US will come to the rescue of the protesters if they are harmed. But is it putting any sort of impact on the ongoing protests?
Well, obviously there is some sort of moral support that the biggest military in the world is giving to these protesters. Obviously, there are allegations coming in from the Iranian government that many of these protesters are foreign paid, foreign backed, and they are pointing to a conspiracy for a regime change in the country that has been vehemently anti-American, anti-Israel, and in many ways anti-West as well. So while the government government of Iran is trying to reach out to the larger public, stating that the protesters are not calling for the betterment of the country, but they're calling for an overthrowing of the government, and pointing to the recent incidents in the neighboring countries where any kind of massive regime change has only resulted in further chaos, further deterioration of law and order and social structure of the countries like Libya, countries like Iraq, Syria, and other nations where major regime changes have taken place in the last 2 decades, followed by increase in the number of terror groups surging, power vacuums getting created that have resulted into thousands of deaths across the neighborhood. So while the Iranian government is calling this entire protest a conspiracy against the regime backed by America and Israel, it seems that for the protesters, this support from US has come as a major moral booster, as well as in a way a lifeline that has been given to the protests. That protests have happened again and again in Iran. Many of them have taken place against the kind of rules that have been imposed on women as far as hijab is concerned, and other kind of social orders that have been given by the government. But this protest seems to be quite different, with an open backing from the world's largest military.
All right. Thank you so much, Akshay, for joining us and getting us the latest on this.